Jimmy and Kelly, this fire is so enormous they can't even get to the core of the flames. Just in the last hour, we saw the roof start to collapse here. They've got 3 ladders up firing gallons and gallons of water on top of this building. Good evening, Jamie. We just got an update from police that a 39-year-old man and 40-year-old woman were both shot in the leg. Police focusing their search right now inside of this Pizza Man food mart. The Maryland case search came up with 11 different cases where he was either the plaintiff or the defendant, and again, lots of them showing restraining orders or peace orders against him. Florida, the Carolinas, and Virginia all preparing for the worst. Thanks for joining us tonight on WMAR 2 News at 11. I'm Eddie Kadhim. The storm remains a major Category 4 hurricane, now inching closer to the U.S. More than 2 million Americans are under mandatory evacuation. Right now, there's been no evacuation of this neighborhood, but we are talking to people who are walking around telling us that they are very concerned. Obviously, if they're looking at what I'm looking at behind me right now, how could you not be concerned? And it's not even the blatant disregard for decency that comes with robbing people while they're at a cemetery that bothers this family the most. They have to come back here. They have several family members that are buried at this cemetery. We just got here a few minutes ago. We found heavy smoke coming out of multiple spots on this building. We just saw some flames just within the last 10 minutes pop up on one of the corners of the building here. We are awaiting the PIO for... Guys, we made it. No more Sundays without NFL football. The regular season is almost here. The Ravens have finalized their 53-man roster, and now the team is getting ready for its first game of the season. The dreaded word for basically every business during the pandemic has been capacity, and for theaters, that's meant 0 for months. Even now, it's a struggle to hit the max capacity you can have in the state of Maryland. Things that teachers have to pay for out of pocket for their classrooms, and it adds up quick. It's estimated that teachers spend around $600 a year to fill their classrooms. There's water meters outside of pretty much every building in the city. Like this one that's outside of the Ritz-Carlton, reads water meter right there. This was put in about 12 years ago. The problem is it hasn't been read since it was put in. Baltimore City firefighters saved a woman and her cat from a warehouse fire this afternoon. It was one of a handful of brush fires across the area. Heard it, widespread damage here in Mount Airy. Car accident caused by this. Here you can see the TJ Maxx. We just showed the video a little bit ago of inside that TJ Maxx, and when we were driving over here, a massive tree down, and that seems to be the narrative all over the area. Lawnmower, it's, dads will get this. All the dads watching right now.
I'm just standing back here.
Pulling it, and then, you're mowing the lawn. You're just mowing the lawn. That's all you got to do. 2020 over in less than an hour. Let's get to the news. The owner of 2 Baltimore City restaurants is temporarily closing, citing the city's dining ban. A big part of the history that was lost here because one of the original swim blocks from 1958 when they first opened was lost in the fire. The growing problem is both figurative and literal in Baltimore City. So he started these produce giveaways at different pop-up spots across the city. Soon he's going to have his own brick and mortar store in the heart of West Baltimore at the corner of Pulaski and North, centered around building up young people. A giant metal mess now lays right next to the streetcar museum. Jennifer Gwynn couldn't have been any closer. She was on her phone in her van, this van.
I heard a loud bang. I looked up and the train was coming off of the bridge,
crashing into a telephone pole that came down on her van while she was sitting in it.
My first reaction was just to drive off. I started to drive off, and I guess some BGE guys that were working up the street, they told me, get out of the car, leave the car, because I was surrounded by power lines. 5 cars derailed, including what appeared to be a tanker. Power lines snapping and hissing as she tried to figure out how to get to safety. There was a car of the train still hanging off the bridge, and it was a tank, and they didn't know if there was chemicals in it or what, so they were kind of just preparing for an explosion. I wanted to get out of there, get everybody away from the train. It happened to just be cooking oil, thankfully.
Up above, hundreds of people came out to catch a glimpse of the wreckage. Nearby streets shut down for hours.
I heard some sort of a noise at some point, it was mostly like a vibration, and I didn't know exactly what it was.
As the cleanup begins, everyone thankful that no one was hurt.
It was very fast when it happened, so it just... I didn't even have time to really react. It's just, I look up. You don't expect to look up and see a train coming down at you. The start of the fall of the mayor of one of America's biggest cities started with a story.
And when I got home, had scribbled this book called Healthy Holly. I was trying to figure out a way to create a character that could talk to young people about how they could improve their health.
This was the last time former Baltimore City Mayor Catherine Pugh talked publicly. From then to now, the city has learned how those scribbles became this, a 90-page federal document that lays out what prosecutors call a scheme to defraud that is, quote, remarkable in both its scope and duration.
I sincerely want to say that I apologize, that I've done something to upset the people of Baltimore.
A table of contents of the 7-year scheme that spans from her time as a Maryland state senator to when she was the mayor of Baltimore City to the day that federal agents raided her homes, city hall, and agencies that she has ties to. Section 8, Part 1, laying out the movement of tens of thousands of dollars for books from the University of Maryland Medical System, 20,000 books for $100,000 that were supposed to go to Baltimore City schools. Overall, Pugh's inventory of Healthy Holly books never exceeded over 8,200 copies, yet after employing all three dimensions of her scheme, she was able to resell over 132,000 copies for a total of over $859,000, and she dissipated another over $34,000 via giveaways. Section B goes into how CareFirst, Kaiser, JP Grant, and the University of Maryland Medical System made multi-million-dollar deals under Pugh's leadership. Prosecutors say there is no evidence of bribery, but suggest that Pugh leveraged the power of her elected office to corruptly solicit money from companies and organizations that might be beholden to her. Pages and pages of how she used the double selling of the books, used government resources to execute the fraud, and even used the proceeds to fund straw donations to her mayoral campaign. The physical big money checks, $20,000 from Grant to Two Cheek Boutique, a consignment shop owned by Pugh and Baltimore City Comptroller Joan Pratt. She filed false tax returns to make even more off the deals. Finally, skipping ahead to Section I, when the scam had started to surface, the cover-up. Pugh paying her longtime aide Gary Brown to keep him quiet about all the dealings he was privy to and helped with. Now, the last section before her sentencing recommendation had to do with her cell phone. When federal agents came to her house, they asked her to turn her personal cell phone over. She claimed that she had given it to her sister. So one of the agents called her cell phone and heard it vibrating. That's when she ran over to the bed, grabbed her phone, and the agents yelled at her to put her hands up. And when she did that, they saw the phone still in her hand and still vibrating. Pugh pleaded guilty on November 21st to wire fraud conspiracy, conspiracy to defraud the United States, and 2 counts of tax evasion. She's scheduled to be in court on February 27th. In Baltimore, Eddie Kadhim, WMAR 2 News.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Well, I'm running down the road trying to loosen my load.
It's all strings and camo in this band. Well, they let the drummer turn guitarist keep a little bit of kick.
That's why I keep the flowers.
Take it easy.
Yeah, it keeps me rooted.
6-string soldiers, active duty military with a mission through music.
We're here to tell stories. We're here to tell our stories as soldiers. We're here to connect with our veterans. And probably most importantly, to hear their stories. Because what we do is so broken down, they really have the opportunity to interact with us while we're playing a show.
The passion to protect the American dream is what drove them to serve.
I went to college to study music, so I knew that that's what I was going to do. But in terms of service, both of my grandfathers served in the Army. One of them I never met, and he's the one who played violin. I actually have his violin at home.
Tours in brutal conditions, fighting wars in places they've never been before. When they're away, the melodies carry them back home.
I was in the ambassador to Iraq's living room in Baghdad, you know, with commanding generals and playing Sweet Home Alabama and all that.
Fighting for different flags, but bonding over the rhythms.
I happened to have a little travel guitar, and we busted it. And so, you know, we're trying to communicate with these guys, and it's kind of not going anywhere. We got out the guitar, we started playing some music, and it was, I mean, we were best friends. I still got a picture on my wall.
Music brought the Bennetts together, and their future has the best seat in the house.
This is the first grandbaby on both sides, and our first child, so it's a boy. I'm 17 days out from my due date today, so I apologize for all the sweating.
Every member is an inspiration in their own way.
Encouraging all these people who were like, oh, maybe I can have a career in music, or maybe I can have a career in the Army. Like, I don't have to be a guy.
This will defend protectors and performers.
There's this intangible thing to music and how it affects people. And when you combine that with the uniform and the idea of service and country, it's a pretty big thing. It's much bigger than me. It's much bigger than I can even really understand.
Showing there's so much to each and every soldier, a beat that flows from their hearts to their hands, stringing together those who serve and the people they protect. At Fort Meade, at Kadhim.
It's my first date. Picked a spot at Panera. We were supposed to be, just having tea, coffee. And apparently, Miss Rona, the Ronas had come out and canceled us.
What's your name?
Tim. Haven't been in a relationship now for probably a year. Figured it was time to get out there. Figured they didn't have a table inside. I could bring a table outside, Modern problems call for modern solutions. Candles blew out on me. It was real, set the ambiance, man. It wasn't, yeah, man, I just figured I'd set it up. I might as well sit down and enjoy it, you know what I mean? So, grandmother to my mother to me for this specific occasion. And, it normally brings good luck, so yeah.
It's kind of cute, man. She's missing out right now.
I mean, it's not necessarily missing out. There's more time, I ain't gonna trip now. It's not stand up. It's not stand up. She had things to do.
Good luck.
Swing and a miss. I'm gonna knock out the park next time.